Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Acharya Stotra Sutta Shishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Acharya Stotra Sutta Shishimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the Sama devotees, all glories to the Sama devotees, all glories to the Sama devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tojayam Udirayed Nashtaprayesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 6, entitled Creation of the Universal Form. Today we are on text number 8. Esha hi ashesha sadvanam atmamsha paramatmanaha adyo yataro yatraso bhuta kramo vibhavyate esha yeshesha sadvanam atmamsha paramatmanaha Adyo Vyataro Yatraso Bhutagramo Vibhavyate Esha Yeshesha Sadvanam Atmam Sha Paramatmanaha Adyo Vyataro Yatrasau Bhutagramo Vibhavyate Esha Yeshesha Sadvanam Atmam Sha Paramatmanaha Adyo Vyataro Yatrasau Bhutagramo Vibhavyate. Please chant. Esha Yeshesha Sadvanam Esha Yeshesha Sadvanam Adyo Avataro Yatraso Buddhagramo Vibhavyate Esha Yeshesha Sadvanam Adyam Sha Paramatmanaha Mothers, Esha Yeshesha Sadvanam Atmam Sha Paramatmanaha Adyavatara Yatrasau Vibhavyate Yeshesha Sadvanam Atmam Sha Paramatmanaha Adyavatara Yatraso Bhutagramo Vibhavyate. Word for word, Esha, this, he, certainly, Ashesha, unlimited, Satvanam, living entities, Atma, self, Amshaha, part, Parama Atmanaha, of the Supersoul, Adyaha, the first, Avataraha, incarnation, Yatra, whereupon, Asau, all those, Bhutagramaha, the aggregate creations, Vibhavyate, flourish. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The gigantic universal form of the Supreme Lord is the first incarnation and plenary portion of the Supersoul. He is the self of an unlimited number of living entities, and in him rests the aggregate creation, which thus flourishes. Purport. The Supreme Lord expands himself in two ways, by personal plenary expansions and separated minute expansions. The personal plenary expansions are Vishnu Tattvas, and the separated expansions are living entities. Since the living entities are very small, they are sometimes described as the marginal energy of the Lord. But the mystic yogis consider the living entities and the Supersoul, Paramatma, to be one and the same. It is, however, a minor point of controversy. After all, everything created rests on the gigantic Virat, or universal form of the Lord. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatav Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitam Sha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavari Paschacha Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namashrishtam Manamapi Sachiputra Matra Sarupam Rupam Tasya Grajam Uruparim Matarim Gostavatim Radha Kundam Girivaramaho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasya Pratikrupeya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi Esha Hi Eshesha Satvanam Atmamsha Paramatmanaha Adyo Vyataro Yatraso Bhuta Gramo Vibhavyate. The gigantic universal form of the Supreme Lord is the first incarnation and plenary portion of the Supersoul. He is the self of an unlimited number of living entities, and in him rests the aggregate creation which thus flourishes. So, first of all, I would just like to thank the management of the Bhaktivedanta Manor for letting us be here. It's a great honor and a great privilege. It's like a dream come true for me to come here to this temple and be seen by Radha Gokulananda. And yeah, this is really such a historic tirtha in the Krishna consciousness movement. And I'm here with the devotees from Atlanta. We've been traveling around Europe and UK for about 6 weeks. This is the end of our pilgrimage, and we've been visiting different temples and goshalas and farm communities. And we came here with a very specific reason. We want to build a farm community in America. So there are a lot of wonderful centers in Europe who have expertly studied the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, and you're seeing these communities flourish. We started off in Hungary with His Holiness Shivaram Maharaj and saw how wonderful and happy the devotees are serving in that community. And we got to visit New Mayapur, and we were riding around the palace in a bullock cart and going off in the fields. And yeah, it's such a wonderful life that Srila Prabhupada has given us. We were in Paris with Janananda Maharaj distributing books during the Olympics, which you would think that there'd be more people and there'd be a better opportunity for book distribution, but it actually hampered the devotees who were trying to go out and distribute books because there was a bunch of restrictions on the city during that time. But yeah, and then we were in a famous temple in Zurich, which is a huge hub for book distribution. And we visited many other farms and temples, and yeah, it's really wonderful to be here at the Bhaktivedanta Manor. I credit me joining the Krishna consciousness movement. A huge part of it goes to George Harrison. And just to be here and relish the atmosphere and to feel Srila Prabhupada's presence in the manor, it's a great honor. So thank you all for letting me speak. And yeah, today we're hearing about the universal form, the aspect of creation. And the conversation that we're hearing is between Maitreya and Vidura. And their relationship is quite interesting. And we can see this is the overall theme that's presented in the Shastra. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena seveya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tatvadarshinaha. And yeah, just to give a little backstory, very interesting history of Vidura was inquiring to Uddhava, and Vidura was wanting to take initiation from Uddhava because he's a very qualified person. He received direct instruction from Lord Krishna himself. But Vidura was about the age of Uddhava's father. So there was this transgression. And Uddhava was in the presence of Maitreya Rishi. So Uddhava, following the proper etiquette, which is described by Srila Prabhupada as Maryada Vaitikrama, meaning that one should always give respect to those who are in a higher position. So Uddhava told Vidura that you should take shelter of Maitreya. And yeah, this is the relationship that consists of the descriptions in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Is inquiry, there's questions, and then there's answers. And we have to pose the right answers to the right person. Tad vignatam sagarum eva bhikachet samet pani shotriyam brahmanishtam. We have to approach someone who's firmly situated in Brahman and who's realized the absolute truth. And yeah, we should place ourselves at the lotus feet of such personalities, and we should be submissive towards them. As the first canto describes, Veda tvam somyatat sarvam tatvatastrat anugrahat bruyu shnigdasya shishivsha guravo guyam apyata. The sages at Naimisharanya are glorifying Sutta Goswami because he has the qualities of Saumya. He's gentle. Veda tvam somyatat sarvam tatvatastrat anugrahat. And he served his spiritual masters in a very menial way. And by his sincere service attitude, his spiritual masters have given him all these nice qualities. So yeah, this is very important. And the inquiry should be done in a humble and submissive attitude, but also we should make sure that we're hearing, like we were just reading this morning after Mangalarti from these descriptions of the nectarian pastimes of the holy name. And Prabhupada was making the emphasis that, we have all these other senses, we can see things and taste things, but you can see in teachings of Srila Prabhupada that overall the emphasis is given on us to hear. And I'm sure we were all experiencing that this morning during the kirtan, this verse that was described that Krishna is not in the heart of the yogis who are meditating in the forest. He's actually existing. He's in the presence where his devotees are chanting his glories. So we're very fortunate to be in such a lovely society of devotees who are enlivened and happy chanting and dancing, because this is the movement that Prabhupada came to give us. So I'll speak a little bit more about this aspect of Maryada Vatikrama. We were just visiting a very senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and Maharaj was supposed to take his lunch at a certain time. Very strict. He's a sannyasi, so he wanted to have his prasadam at very, very regulated. Srila Prabhupada was the same. And we had an experience where if we were to take our prasadam first, we would have set Maharaj behind his schedule. So we didn't want to put our sense gratification in front of someone else's. So we decided that, let Maharaj, make sure Maharaj has his prasadam on time. We don't really matter so much. We have to give respect to devotees who've been serving for 50 plus years. So we should always set our priorities aside and give all importance to showing proper respect to those who are senior. And we should undergo all trials and tribulations in pleasing our seniors. So today's verse is a little technical. I myself am not such a philosophical person, but I'll try to explain and stay true to what Prabhupada is explaining here. Prabhupada is explaining that the living entities are known as marginal energy of the Lord, which is Tatastha Shakti. And we have an option. We can either choose to take shelter of Krishna's internal energy or Krishna's external energy. And there's consequences to doing either of those. Bhagavad Gita says, Prakrite kriyamanani gune karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. That the bewildered living entity, thinking himself to be the doer, he actually suffers, and he acts underneath the identity of their false ego. So, yeah, it's better to take shelter of Krishna's internal energy. And matter of fact, we should actually become addicted to this. And you can see that the result is glorious. Whereas if we take shelter of the external energy, we become victims of the material nature. And there's a beautiful prayer in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kama dinam katita palita durinideshas, that so long I've served these bad masters and they've never even shown me any mercy. But today I've awakened my transcendental intelligence and I no longer will obey these orders of these masters. So therefore I'm surrendering myself unto you and feeling satisfied in doing so. Srila Prabhupada says that to help oneself means to put oneself in front of transcendental sound vibration. And we can do this by hearing for a very long time from the person who has realized the conclusions of the Shastra. And Prabhupada often saw that there's a pastime where Prabhupada was seeing that his disciples were collecting many austere books. And one of the disciples had said, Prabhupada, well, you told us that we shouldn't read the works of the acharyas. Prabhupada said, I have said? I have not said. First, I told you to assimilate what I've given. So we should be very adamant and serious in understanding the conclusions of Srila Prabhupada's works given in the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. And yeah, we should tune our ears to the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. And in the Bhagavad Gita it's explained, Yomam evam asamudho janati purushotamam sasarvavid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. That when one knows Krishna, there's nothing else for one to know. And when you are aware of Krishna's energies and all of his different potencies, then all of your doubts are removed. And this is a very important aspect in our spiritual lives, is to make sure that we are removing on a daily basis, removing these doubts. Because Prabhupada's making the point in this section of the Bhagavatam that nothing can progress without the will of the Lord. And yeah, we should adhere ourselves to the instructions that Krishna gives in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And we should dedicate our lives to hearing such narrations. We can see great devotees within our movement who've read the Bhagavad Gita 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times. I think Prahladananda Maharaj has heard the Krishna book over 100 times. And there was a pastime where the devotees were driving with Prahladananda Swami and they were going through a tunnel and suddenly it was black. And then Prahladananda just continued verbatim to recite that section of the Krishna book they were hearing from. So we should know the books, and we should know them like a person in the law can cite different references and defeat someone in the court. And when we meet people on the streets, we should give them Prabhupada's books, and by doing so, they will be able to accept God as a concrete principle in their lives. And yeah, Srila Prabhupada had two missions that we see. If we tune our ear to his instructions, these two missions are books and farms. And I'll relay some evidence for you in case y'all haven't heard the good news. This is from a letter in 1977. Prabhupada writes on the 10th of August, if these farms become successful, then the whole world will be enveloped by Krishna consciousness. Here's another one from 74 in Bombay. Our farm projects are an extremely important part of our movement. We must become self-sufficient by growing our own grains and producing our own milk. Then there will be no question of poverty. So develop these farm communities as far as possible. Yeah, it's very important that we try to the best of our degree to fulfill the instructions of our Param Guru, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And yeah, you can see that Prabhupada gave heavy emphasis on the distribution of transcendental knowledge. And we should be very eager to cultivate a missionary spirit, because we can see this was the mood of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, that they carried out missionary activities for the benefit of all living entities. And how did they do this? They did it by pouring transcendental songs about Govinda. And yeah, Prabhupada says that by manual labor, the word kriyasu is given, that we should go out and distribute these books to everybody that moves. I found this lovely quote also that I'll read to you all, because we should make Prabhupada's mission our life's mission. This is the concluding words to the Chaitanya Charitamrita. If there is any credit to my activities of translating, it is all due to His divine grace. Certainly, if His divine grace were personally present at this time, it would have been a great occasion for jubilation. But even though He is not physically present, I am confident that He is very pleased by this work of translation. He was very fond of seeing many books published to spread the Krishna consciousness movement. Therefore, our society, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, has formed to execute the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So, in case you didn't know that Prabhupada's missions were books and farms, there's a little bit of evidence. And you can't avoid it. I mean, Prabhupada's books are just littered with these different statements, glorifying the Brihat Mridanga. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur put the printing press on his emblem of the Gaudiya Mutt. And above this picture of the printing press, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur put the word Rag Marg. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur held so much importance to this distribution of transcendental knowledge that he had the printing press next to the deities on the altar. So, yeah, certainly we can please the acharyas by following in the footsteps of the 6 Goswamis. And we can know for certain that if we throw ourselves at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with abandon and execute the Sankirtan mission of Lord Chaitanya with joy and enthusiasm, we'll be totally blissed out. And in fact, it's stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam that the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu contain all the tirthas, tirtha padam. So we may not be able to travel to all these different holy places, and we may not be able to see all the different pastimes of the Lord, but if we take exclusive shelter of the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there's no other place we have to invest our love. Our loving propensity, all of it can be directed towards Lord Chaitanya. I'll read one other verse in this regard, the verse I just mentioned. Beautiful verse. This is from the 11th canto, 5th chapter, text 33. Deyam sada paribhavagnam adbishta doham tirtasparam shivavirinchi nutam sharanyam pratyartiham pranatapala bhavabdipotam vande mahapurushache. Charanadavinda, my dear Lord, you are the Mahapurush, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I worship your lotus feet, which are the only eternal object of meditation. Those feet destroy the embarrassing conditions of material life and freely award the greatest desire of the soul, the attainment of pure love of Godhead. My dear Lord, your lotus feet are the shelter of all holy places and of all saintly authorities in the line of devotional service, and are honored by powerful demigods like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. My Lord, you are so kind that you willingly protect all those who simply bow down to you with respect, and thus you mercifully relieve all the distresses of your servants. In conclusion, my Lord, your lotus feet are actually the suitable boat for crossing over the ocean of birth and death, and therefore even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva seek shelter at your lotus feet. the Sankirtan mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are experiencing the modern day pastimes. All you have to do is grab a stack of books, go out on the street and wave your hand to whoever's walking, give them a book and simply plead them for a donation. Like Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur would say, you're the most learned person, you know everything. And you just praise them and you go humbly with straw between your teeth. Say, you're a greatly learned man. Please give up all your hogwash and take shelter of Lord Chaitanya. Please give a donation. In this verse, Prabhupada is describing the plenary expansions, which are Vishnu Tattvas, also known as Swamshas. And Prabhupada is describing the separated expansions, which are also known as Vibhinamsha. And there's a beautiful verse in the Brahma Samhita describing this, Ramadi Murtishikalan Niyamena Tishtan. And Niyamena Tishtan is describing these different plenary expansions of the Lord. And also, it's given in the first canto, 3rd chapter, 28th verse, Ete Chamsakala Pumsam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Invidyart Vyakalam Lokam Ridayanti Yuge Yuge. That all of these incarnations are actually coming from Krishna. He's the source of all these incarnations. And it's also said that, I was just reading this in the Bhagavad Gita. There's a wonderful verse where Krishna is telling Arjuna that there's no need for you to understand all these other manifestations. This is in the last verse of the 10th chapter. And in there, Prabhupada gives reference to Baladev Vidyabhushan, which he actually dedicated his Bhagavad Gita to him. And there's a wonderful point being made where Baladev Vidyabhushan is explaining. Hare Krishna. Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki jai, Shri Sita Ram, Lakshman, Hanuman, Gaurnitai, Guru Parampara ki jai. Yeah, there's a beautiful point being made in the Bhagavad Gita that Baladev Vidyabhushan touches on, that the sun is just a plenary portion of Krishna. But this energy of the sun is actually maintaining the entire creation. So it's just an adamant to Krishna's glories, how powerful the Supreme Lord really is. And yeah, we should hear about the different manifestations of Krishna. Ramadi Murtishu, he has many different forms and comes in Nrsimha avatar, Varaha, Kurma. And yeah, we should lend our ear to these descriptions, and as Prabhupada repeatedly instructs us not to jump over the different descriptions of the Bhagavatam and feel ourselves qualified to hear about the confidential topics given in the 10th canto. We should be just as happy to relish all of the different pastimes that are given in the Bhagavatam. And yeah, because the great emphasis that Prabhupada stresses on in his teachings is that we are not the body. And yeah, in the Bhagavad Gita, it's given, and stress is given to spiritual consciousness rather than enjoying the flickering things of the material world. Yeah, a very interesting point. Prabhupada is saying that the mystic yogis consider the living entities and the supersoul, the Paramatma, to be one and the same. It is, however, a minor point of controversy. After all, everything rests on the gigantic Virat, or the universal form of the Lord. And even this form that was displayed to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, even this is a material manifestation. It's not the original form of Krishna. And even the Archamurti in the temple is, Prabhupada writes, is a material manifestation of the Lord. The Virat Rupa and the Archa Vigraha. But yeah, we should be attracted to Krishna's form in Vrindavan. And yeah, he's the transcendental cowherd boy. I don't have many other things to say. I'm not such a great scholar, but I would just say a little something to glorify the Srimad Bhagavatam and our Acharya Srila Prabhupada. And there's about 10 minutes if we want to open it up for any questions or discussions or corrections. There's a lot of senior devotees here who have much more reading than I've done. So if anyone wants to ask a question or say anything, you can.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the class.
Hare Krishna.
Just a question here in the verse. He is the self of unlimited number of living entities. What does that mean? He is the self of number of living entities or unlimited living entities.
Yeah. There's a statement that's the self is very dear to us, but how dear is the self, the very self of ourselves? So, yeah, we can see this, the self of an unlimited number of living entities. I mean, Krishna's the source of everything. And yeah, I can't give a Shashic reference to that question. But he is the self of an unlimited number of living entities. Yeah, I would just say that he's the source of all these different expansions. Yeah. Sorry, it's not a very good answer.
Hare Krishna. So it's interesting in the one of the Sanskrit explanation to the concept of Atma. Atma actually denotates to which degree we identify ourselves. So Atma means the soul, Atma means the mind, and Atma means the body. So if we consider ourselves to be devotees, so our self is always in connection with the Lord. So when it's said, I am the self, means that the Lord's, the devotees, their self is always connected with certain feature or certain or rasa with the Lord. So I am who I am based on my relationship with Krishna. So he's that self or the principal foundation of that relationship. So as people, right, there's different individual rasas, and Krishna is the center. He's Akila Rasamrita Murti. So the self or individualism of the jivas or the individual soul is based on our relationship with Krishna, I would say.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhu, in regards to that, actually in the previous purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that the monist believes that there is only one consciousness, whereas the sattvatas or devotees believe that although there is undoubtedly one consciousness, they are one because there is agreement. So Prabhupada actually writes here that there's only one consciousness, but there's one because of agreement. And then Srila Prabhupada continues to say that the individual consciousness is advised to dovetail with the Supreme Consciousness as instructed by the Lord in Bhagavad Gita. The individual consciousness, Arjuna, is advised to dovetail with the Supreme Consciousness and thus maintain his conscious purity. So, yeah, I mean, there's only one consciousness in the sense that actually the Supreme Lord is the self of all the unlimited living entities. But they only realize that when they're devotees.
Tujamani Gaur Prabhu.
I just have one question about the last statement in the purport. So Prabhupada mentioned that this is a minor controversy between the yogis and the bhaktas, I presume. So I was thinking it's a major point of controversy. Can you explain how it's a minor point of controversy?
I mean, I'll answer your question with a question. How do you consider it a major? How would you consider a major point?
Well, there's a lot of, like for instance, in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada gives a lot of stress to differentiating the impersonal camp and the personalist camp. So when a lot of stress is given to oneness and less emphasis to the difference, then it tends towards impersonalism. And we've all been shown that actually the goal of our practice is to be very personal. So that's why I would maybe I have like an allergy to impersonalism. But perhaps here, I don't know why it's a minor point of controversy. Is this? I don't know if I'm interpreting it correctly. That's why I'm trying to get some clarity on that.
There's a purport in the Bhagavad Gita, I can't remember which chapter or verse, but Prabhupada is saying that actually between personalism and impersonalism, there's no disagreement. And Prabhupada gives reference to our mission statement of our entire philosophy of Achintya Bheda, Bheda Tattva, the simultaneous oneness and difference. But like Vishnuchitta Prabhu brought up the point of being like oneness in interest, that when the living entities are pursuing the order of the Lord, then they're, fixed up in their position. Yeah. We should have a heavy allergy to impersonalism. And we should make all adjustments in our lives to rid ourselves of the Mayavad tendencies, and similarly being averse to Sahajiyism, taking the philosophy very cheaply. So these are two things that we should always guard ourselves against, impersonalism and taking things very cheaply. It's very, very dangerous. Hopefully that answers your question, Prabhu. Any other points, or Hare Krishna?
There's an understanding that these things, what other people do, we shouldn't give them any significance, actually. Because we must get on with our own business, actually. And these people will always be there. These things will always be there. It's part of Krishna's arrangement. So actually, get on, be determined with what you get on with. Whatever the people do, it doesn't matter. I was given a bit of advice. The one thing when I moved into Krishna consciousness, just get on in the ashram, do the best you can, and the other people, they just got different points of view. And of course we know that. It's in the modes of material nature, the way they see things. And we don't give things too much significance. We really have to get on with our business in Krishna consciousness, hear Prabhupada's books, carry on, look at the truth that's there, and he's trying to point out to us. So, okay.
Yeah, my Sankirtan leader says always two things: that we should take shelter of our bead bag and our book bag, and whatever else is there is, like you said, these things it's Krishna's arrangement, so, yeah. Okay, thank you for tolerating me. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, vancha kalpatarubhyascha, kripasinubhyevacha, patitanam pavanebhyo, vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Thank you.